Well, small preface. I actually already have recorded a video on the early Rotten Tomatoes reviews, and there were about, I think, 13. It I don't know how their system entirely works, so apparently they need a certain minimal number before they do the number of the reviews. But they did. They started posting the numbers, and it is jaw-droppingly bad. In fact, it is so catastrophic. I am not joking to you guys. I was on Twitter. It was at 43% on Twitter. And I was like, okay, let me double check the score because it updates. It was at 41% with over 40 reviews. So the usual way I think the logic works with the numbers is they start off with a high number, right? Usually, ideally, you want 9 out of 10, and then it goes lower, 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 right? 90%, then da da da. But you may get unlucky, be like 82%, and then you keep dropping, dropping, but you still manage to get like 67, 68, 69, 70%. Be like, okay, that wasn't too bad. So it's starting off with 43%. Now, there are really only two possibilities. Either an extremely large number of the other critics will give it very high scores, so it will balance out to be, a decent score. Not great. It probably will not be fresh. That seems long gone. And I've looked at and again, remember, these are elite critics. Elite is a term of art in Hollywood, but they're people with bigger platforms. And to be fair, it's very corrupt, right? It is. Let's be honest. It's corrupt on the studio side. It's corrupt on the critic side. But it's also surprising because I looked at the first review, and I think it's a Brazilian guy, so it's translation. I know Brazilian, but I don't want to test my linguistic powers too much. I know French and German pretty well, but well, neither here nor there. That one was pretty brutal. That one was really brutal. It was not representative. When I saw the 13 reviews and went through some of them very thoroughly, they were more generous. And I'll still put out that video to provide balance. But it is what it is. It starts off with an incredibly low score. Now, granted, we can't ignore the politics, right? The woke factor. So probably a lot of critics do not like Spyglass, right? The Zionism, pro-Trump. It is what it is. And there you go. So it's starting off. So I can't even when I probably put out the video, I can't even give a title because the number's going to keep dropping or rising, but probably not rising. So I'll put out something like it starts at 41%. It's definitely a very low score by the series standard. So there you go. Okay, that's the Rotten Tomatoes stuff. But I think probably more consequential is the Hollywood Reporter, which went to town. Although the review was a little funny. I expected more of the review to keep going and going. And it just stopped. And it was pretty negative. It does have a few moments of praise for the film, but for the most part, it's like, yeah, this is getting tiresome. And it made a few mistakes, but we'll get to the mistakes. So it's like, yeah, it's like the same old thing. Ghostface is coming. Here's the AI. I'm really, really bored. I'm really, really bored. I'm getting tired. Please stop. Time to stop. And I will say this. It made me laugh out loud. So there's which is hilarious. Now, it's not entirely true. They did, it depends how you count the numbers. So they're noting, hey, Scream 6 was in Arabic. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oh, no, sorry. It was in Roman numerals. Right. Scream 6 was Roman. No pun intended. And now it's back to Scream 7, which is Arabic number. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. Right, the first couple of Screams were Arabic. So there we go. They're back to being pro-Arab. No deep irony there at all. So there were a few funny jokes in the review, but for the most part, it was just pounding the hell out of the film. I can't disagree with all the leaks and everything I know. And now people in the comment section are spoiling some things, and it's like, okay, it's fair. I put out spoiler videos. So the outlook is not good for the critics. Is there anything to counter this? I don't know. I will say, let me get to the praise. They were very full of praise for Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell. But again, we can't bury the lead. So the actual mystery in this Scream is probably one of the weakest. I think it'll be a while the hardcore people debate it, but it will probably come down as the weakest mystery by far of all the Scream films. And that's pretty hard to believe because Scream 6 had a lousy mystery. But this may be a lot worse than that. And that was, that was not good. So there we go. But it was a very political review, to be fair. So a lot of people are already dismissing it. And a lot of the fans who want to promote Scream 7 are like, I don't care about the haters. I don't believe them. But like it or not, guys, the Hollywood Reporter has a lot of weight. And they are consistent because they put out a nasty review on Superman. Now, I did not like Superman. And I think a lot of the points raised are valid. But it was by someone who doesn't really know comic books or comic book films. And clearly not an expert on Superman. That said, for these films to work, it can't just be the small hardcore base. You have to have a good general popular audience. And the critics do try to keep the pulse. So that suggests a lot of the general audience is not gonna care. And the critics' scores are probably going to be pretty low. So, and they need this because they need this for advertising. And the way Paramount and Spyglass are acting is not good. Because, again, I'm putting aside the politics, but there's the studio politics. If a film is really good, you don't hide it from critics. That's a usual rough rule. If it's a great film, you actually try to get the critics to see it. You want them to see it to give good buzz and good word of mouth. So Spyglass and Paramount are apparently signaling they don't have confidence. They don't believe in the project. But they spent nearly $50 million, which is an all-time high for Scream. This is the biggest budget of any Scream film. Again, official. It could be it's even higher because of tax breaks. So they could have spent as much as 50 or more million. We don't know. So what to make of this? Well, it could be, like I said, a lot of these critics, especially Rotten Tomato people, don't know what the hell they're talking about. Right? Especially with horror. They are not horror fanatics. They're not horror experts. But they do have some people like Drum Dums and other people who are good. They do know horror. They do know it at a very expert fan level. So I'm going to wait and be patient with how they react and their response, because they know what they're talking about. So I their opinions hold more weight for me. However, the fact that cumulatively this is getting such negativity, yeah, it's a lot of things. It's the woke. I mean, it is what it is. They replaced 2 Hispanic women with an old white woman. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are going to signal to critics to not like this. It is what it is. So I don't think this is a complete loss for Scream because, again, Rotten Tomato scores, to put it mildly, are erratic in terms of tracking quality. But the whole point here is it does give you a collective pulse of the critics. So, and it is what it is. Like the first Scream, by far, most critics give it a lot of grace, give it high scores. It is a Wes Craven film, so it is opposite ends of the spectrum. But that was the critics. So the critics did love Scream for the most part. But there were a few critics who were like, I'm not very impressed. But they were the minority. So this will seem to be the opposite. There will be a minority critics who will champion it and say, no, it's pretty good. It's still showing a lot of health. And I am more negative to the film, to be honest, but I think it's too early to say Scream is entirely dead. But it's definitely falling into a formula. And the critic is definitely right there that they got to do something because the formula now is becoming too obvious. They're even having jokes in the film about how the Scream rules are getting silly. So they got to do something beyond lampshading and telling, hey, yeah, we know it's silly and stupid now. It's like, that's not helping a lot. And if it does not do well financially, I know they're going to do Scream 8. There's enough box office for it, but if it does not have good box office or good critical appeal, they got to make a choice here. Either they're going to replace Nev again, which is going to upset more fans, or because they just can't afford her because she's asking for too much money, or they got to start over, or they've got to do something really incredible with the 8th chapter to wrap it up and move on and reboot it because there's not too many other options. And again, minor spoiler. And again, I'm not being emotive here. I am a Stu fan. I want to forewarn. So major, minor spoiler as we end this. Stu is not returning. From all I'm getting, Stu did not return. So if they bring back Stu just for chapter 8, I'm going to get pissed off because that's so stupid. because clearly they baited the audience. And it's like, oh, they didn't give you. It's like, what was the point? People aren't stupid. This thing is getting leaked. So I don't know. I don't know. Spyglass already had a lot of problems, and now they're going to really, yeah, they've dug a big ditch. And again, this is their mess. Again, we're very far from the Wes Craven years, which were not all golden. There were problems and flaws back then too, right? Let's be honest. But yeah, this thing has radically changed so much, so I don't know who the fan base is anymore. It's just mutated into something else. Whether it's a good mutation, we can debate, but it's not the same old Scream that can count on critics to love it. That is definitely clear. And there we go. So probably by the time this is put out, it will be under 40%. But I will guesstimate it will be at 41, even after more critics come in. But that is a very low score. That is an extremely low score to begin. Sad. It's sad.